What's up, everybody? You know me, Rob J. Speck, the host, here for another edition of Split Decisions with the boys Ricky and Sean. And you might be thinking to yourself, what the hell is Split Decisions? Well, Split Decisions is our show where we find the very best topics, the hottest topics in all of combat sports, break them down, give you the best information we can, and give you our personal opinions on it. Plus, not just opinions, we got special guests, noted people around the MMA community, fighters, and in this episode, it's no different. My man, Garrett Armfield, UFC bantamweight. How you doing, brother?
What's up, guys? Good, man. Thanks for having me on again. I appreciate it.
Of course. So first thing, I gotta get into you first right away. Is your fight news? What's going on with you? All that. Give us some fight updates.
Yeah, man. I'm like 8 weeks out from my next fight, so I'm fighting June 15th, UFC Vegas, whatever number it is. I'm fighting Brady Hindstand, and actually, I got a great story about how that matchup came to fruition. Dude, I'm excited for this fight. I've been training my butt off. I think I'm hitting a new level of training under Trey Ogden and Marathon MMA with Miles Johns and Mike Breeden. So, man, I'm just ready to finish up camp. Honestly, I could fight tomorrow and go destroy this man. So I'm ready to go.
Oh, I believe that. I know you're always ready. And it's also great to see you and all your teammates doing well, man. The last time I got to see you on TV, you were in the corner for Miles Johnson getting that dub. So that was what's up. Man, anything else in your fight world that you would like to share now before we get into some other topics?
Oh, we made the news with Marathon. We're actually on our 7-fight win streak now in the UFC. We had 2 fights that became no contest due to no fault of our own. Both the guys did their jobs. And we can get into that with the USADA thing with Miles. Miles failed a drug test, which he tested positive for like 0.6 of a picogram of metabolite. That was popular in the 1970s, and it somehow came up on his fucking drug test, and it had to overturn his win against Dan Argueta, which sucks for Miles because that's the second time that Miles popped for Adderall or whatever like 3 years ago, and bad mistake, whatever. He learned from it, so it just wasn't the best look for him. That's what he thinks, but so it just kind of took the win away from him, and then Trey had his fight, which he completely dominated the guy. And then in the last round, I don't know if you saw against Nick Mota, beats his ass. And then in the third round, he's mounting him, has a arm triangle on. The referee asked Mota to show something. He doesn't show anything. The ref stops it. Mota wasn't out. And they took that win and his win money away from Trey. So, but it's all right because we're back on 2 wins with those guys. Yeah, I know you look confused. Sucks.
That's hard to digest, brother. I'm just gonna tell you straight up. That is hard to digest, and I'm sure that was even harder for your teammates to swallow.
Yeah, so I count that as wins in my book. Whatever. You can say they're not officially wins, but Marathon's on a 7-fight win streak, and I'm gonna make it 8 fights in June.
That's right. That's what it's all about. All right. Well, talking about the fight game and a little bit something you have, I would say, a little bit more experience than a lot of the new fighters who are coming in because there's so much apex heavy events. And one of those things is fighting overseas. Right? You fought overseas and you have that worldly experience. There you go. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I can't. The mirror is messing me. Yeah. So.
What once again, I guess the fair question is, did you enjoy fighting overseas and would you do it again?
So it's like hard because you got to pay taxes and shit, and it's annoying. And then it just kind of makes it so much harder without the Apex and the PI center right there because the PI streamlines everything. Like with the PI, you got you get all the food, all that stuff doesn't matter, but you have everything's gonna be right there. Sometimes like the host hotel, like the sauna's not working or whatever, and you got to figure it out. But all in all, it's been an awesome experience to be able to see the world because I've really never been out of either Missouri or Florida. I went to Mexico once, but I never really got to explore or see Asia or anything like that. And so I think it was so awesome to be able to go out to overseas and kind of experience all that. I would like to keep some more of my money. So I'm happy to fighting in Vegas where we don't have to deal with the international taxes. Um, but all in all, man, it's like cool because you get to try the cuisine, you get to see different parts, you get to see what different people look like. For example, like in Singapore, everybody was Asian, of course, but like it just doesn't wrap your mind around it that every single person is Asian and you are the minority. Which I love being the minority. I love diversity, but it was just so mind blowing just to be there. And like my buddy Evan Elder and I, we just stuck out like a sore thumb, walking around with like both full blown cauliflower ears and shit. And Canada was extremely diverse too. Holy shit! Again, being a white boy from Missouri, I was again the complete minority, and I thought it was beautiful how diverse Toronto was. And it was the most fast-paced city I've ever been in. It was massive. We got to get an Airbnb in downtown Toronto. I got one that's like overlooking the skyline, and we were able to find like a videographer that made all this footage for us that looked so professional and so clean. So I had a great time while I was there. Would I do it again? Of course, but I'm cool with doing my next couple fights in the United States and keeping it in the United States because like I don't know, like I wanted to fight in St. Louis because that's where I'm from, and so I didn't get on that, and it's cool, whatever. You know, the UFC does for whatever the reasons they do their thing. I get it. Not going to question their business practices, but so it's gonna be cool being able to go to fight in Vegas and kind of have everything streamlined. All my teammates have fought there multiple times. I fought there once, so it's very familiar for me.
That's wonderful, dude. And I'm really, really glad there's multiple parts of that. One, the PI is fantastic. I get it.
Vegas.
I get it. I live in Vegas, so I do
Mm-hmm.
understand. I
That's right.
understand what you're talking about. And to the other part, I've been overseas, got to go to Japan. And isn't it just like you said, isn't it wonderful to absorb a new culture, to be, like you
Oh
said,
yeah.
the different one, if you will, but also learning all the old culture. But for me, and I wonder if you felt the same way, um, you feel extra proud of all the American stuff that you're privileged to when you come back. Did you feel the same way?
Yeah, yeah, because I feel like in Singapore, they're like you couldn't. I feel like you're on camera 24/7, uh, and it's just kind of like I don't know. It was interesting because they call it Grab. It's Uber. Every Uber had a built-in camera in there, and I honestly felt like the government was watching me as soon as you walk in, and it was like all these things. Like I heard stories that if you popped positive on a drug test for weed, they view it as bringing weed into their country if it's in your system, and so they'll actually send your ass back to the United States.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah, I was like, holy shit. So I go through phases of using marijuana and whatnot, and so actually right now I haven't done it in like a month or whatever. But I stopped for like 6 weeks before the Singapore fight because I just was like, there's no way that anything could ever stop me from getting to fight night, and especially not it's not going to be cannabis. So that was interesting as hell. And then it's funny because I look back on my phone and I took pictures of the stupidest shit. I was like, oh, the toilet looks different. I'm gonna take a picture of the goddamn urinal. I took I took pictures of
I did the
every
same
fucking
thing.
thing,
Dude, me
everything.
too. Me too,
But
bro.
yeah, man.
It's
So I'm
another world. It's another world, right? Like,
it is, and the time change. The flight sucked, man. I landed in Singapore like almost 20 pounds overweight due to me holding on to water due to all the salt that was in the airplane food, and me just sitting still. I've never had that happen. So, but these are good experiences because now I'm prepared. If I know how to do it now.
yeah, that's it. Life experience is key. That's where wisdom come from. And you now have these other ones. And yeah, it sounds like you have a good strategies to me. Knock out some fights, but in the future, definitely open to going overseas and seeing some stuff. I like that energy, dude. I always like your energy. So something else I want to talk about. We got to talk about. Thank you first off for being a guest in our spaces a little bit ago, and you shared so much good stuff with us. But
Yeah,
a recent post from you, kind of goes back to some of one of the topics and your early martial arts journey. But this post I think of yours was very special. It talked about your very first pair of boxing gloves, and
yeah,
the fact that you kept them this whole time. Please expand on that.
yeah. I actually got one of them right here. Uh, so my 7th birthday, I've been in martial arts since I was a kid. since I could barely walk. So my family did karate, whatnot. You heard my story on the spaces. I'm just a lifelong martial artist. Actually, I don't know a life without martial arts, and I don't think I do want to know. So I actually got this as
Amen.
my seventh birthday gift, pair of boxing gloves. I guess I didn't hit that hard back then, so they're still held up well. But I actually got pictures and everything from my martial arts journey since I was a kid, and sometimes I forget like to look back and really like look back at my journey and be like, holy shit, that one just a like small decision that I took or my parents took just to put me in boxing, to put me in martial arts and buy me boxing gloves. And I remember I was so proud to have these damn boxing gloves. And it makes sense. Like this is definitely my destiny to be a fighter. It's just something it's always been the most constant thing in my life is fighting. And I love that about it. And I think you can see that in all my fights. I definitely believe I have a different skill level in the stand-up department than a lot of the division. When we get to the top 15, it's a lot tougher. But outside the top 15, I believe there's not a person on the roster or in the bantamweight division that can stand with me in my boxing. I'm fast, I'm sharp, I'm clean, and I hit like a truck. And I can't wait to show that again for my next fight. And it's just been such like a beautiful journey to get here. And dude, I have had some blows because I put my entire life into this. And for a while there, like I was like, damn, like I'm like 26, 25, like am I gonna make it to the UFC? Okay, cool, I make it to the UFC. I hit a mountaintop, right? But then I hit this low ass valley where I didn't fight for a year and I was off a loss. And so nobody even knows who I am. Nobody even cares. But I'm in the UFC. I feel like I can't even call myself a UFC fighter at this point because like people just don't know, and it's fine. We all go through it. But um, I think it just made me so much more thankful for like the sport now, and so much more thankful that I never quit. I never quit, and I thought about quitting so many times. I was like, maybe I'll just go get a regular job. Maybe it's easier. It's way easier. But like now that I went through it and I looked through it and I kept my head up even when I was down. I was like, I'm just gonna keep going. Like I just have to keep going. There's no way I can't keep going. And my fight in Singapore was like, holy shit, I just blew that out of the goddamn water. I was really proud of myself for that. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know I didn't even know I could do that. Like, I didn't know I could do that in a stadium under the lights on TV. I didn't know if I was able to turn it on or not. And then I feel like the Canada fight, beating Brad Katona, was my coming out party. And now people respect me. People like my striking. People want to tune in to watch me now. And, you know, this all goes back to getting these boxing gloves at 7 years old. And I had like 30 amateur kickboxing matches. I had like 15 amateur boxing matches and whatnot. I was actually the 2014 St. Louis Golden Gloves champion in St. Louis. I think I just said St. Louis twice, but
It's all right.
so, and I think this is I firmly believe that this is where I have an X factor in fighting, because competing for me is night and like it doesn't matter. It doesn't phase me to compete. I actually don't feel nerves. I feel nerves a little bit backstage, but as soon as I enter the cage, it just all goes away. I feel so comfortable in there because I'm so used to competing and fighting. A lot of people, like, by the time they get to the UFC, and again, this is where wrestlers have such a competitive advantage because they have thousands of wrestling matches before they get to the fighting, and so it's easier just to turn it on. And so like fighting just like doesn't scare me. It scares me, but not in the way that I'm fearful. Like I'm scared, but I'm ready to take on the fear, and I'm ready to take on whatever scared feeling that is.
That's the locked in warrior right there. And I, like you said, through that experience, I know that you're not afraid of the moment. You're prepared for the moment, but it's very natural. Every fighter I talk to, they say there's a little twinge of nerves, but like you said, it fades away. And I want to expand a little bit what you're talking about, the whole like, you know, working and fighting, because last time we talked, um, you said that you're still maintaining like a regular job. Like in the meantime, is that still something going on in your
Yeah.
life?
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah. But I bartend like 2 to 3 days a week now. Honestly, I'm just doing it for the networking because at this company that I work for, they really actually want to work with me. So this is the first time I've ever had a job that actually cares about my other job, my real career. And so Chicken and Pickle and Overland Park, Chicken and Pickles, they have pickleball event centers nationwide, and it's like a family event center. But they do these UFC watch parties, and they actually let me hook up to the mic and get on the mic and MC it. And so I'm actually able to build these skills through them, and I'm building a great relationship. And I know that after fighting, I know that there's going to be some form of marketing celebrity position because they do that with a couple of other athletes. So there's a couple of football players that are spokespeople for Chicken and Pickle. So and also it also makes balancing the big fight checks way easier because like every fighter understands it. Like once you get the big fight check, you want to go spend money on your girl, you want to go blow money on this, buy a car, whatnot. And so say it's like only $400 a week I'm making. That's like my expenses. Like that's my spending money, and like I'll have a little bit of money at the end to like have. But it's like my girlfriend money. I call it. She probably hates that I call it that, but I'm like, it's my girlfriend money. Like baby, you want to go get some like pair of shoes? Like I want to treat you. It's not affecting me in my bank account. It's just like it's my fight check. It's my bartending money. So I still bartend. I love it. It helps me build my people skills and relate to people and get my name out there. And if I can get one person to follow me on my journey, a shift, then at the end of the year, that's like 100 new people watching. So that's, incremental gains.
What did I tell you? We're going to have special guests on our show, and I got another special one. He's frequently been on my spaces on X, just like you guys should be. And one of my favorite fighters, if not one of my favorite people in MMA, you know who I'm talking about yet? My man, Jeremy Kennedy is here, right there.
Oh, my man.
Hey, how you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. How are you?
So good. It was really nice to see you at the PFL, of course.
Yeah.
Now, first things first, I'm going to get into you. Obviously, your life, you're the star. What's going on with you? What do you want to share with the people?
Yeah, man. Just obviously, rewinded and, dissected after the fight, and the show goes on. So I got right back into it. Kai Boy was fighting, 4 weeks later, and he helped me throughout my camp, and he was out in Belfast with me. So that was already the plan to be, return the favor and, finish up camp with him, and then head out to Chicago for his fight. And, he did well. And now it's just back to, I had some family come in from Canada who haven't been out yet. So I wanted to show them a good time in Vegas. So stayed away from the gym for a few days, did the whole tourist thing in Vegas, even though I'm a resident here now. And now I'm just back to get ready back to work and get this next fight booked.
Understand that. And I see you in your nice title gear. I got the new PFL gear too. That's like I got to see you at those fights with not the same PFL fights. I seen at the Vegas PFL fights, and then you're at the Chicago event, of course. And I just want to relate to you on that, my man. Living in Vegas, I know exactly what you're talking about. You got to play tourist, people come in.
Oh, yeah.
You good friends with Kai Boy. I know he knows the feeling when you go back Hawaii. You got to play tour guide in Hawaii. So it is what it is. Now I want to talk about you doing that cornerman duty in the PFL. We've talked about this, but I want to go deeper. You and Kai, really, really good friends. You and Kai corner each other all the time.
Yeah.
I want to go deeper into obviously being a cornerman, being in the spot, and like maybe just the what it feels like to be a friend and a teammate and a fighter all at the same time.
Yeah, like I've done quite a bit of cornering, the UFC, Bellator, PFL, but for other fighters. And it's different with Kai just because, we're so hands-on, like training partners as well, just because, the same division, we fought in the same organization for the most part. And now he's over at the PFL. So a lot of mutual opponents, and guys he's fighting, I could potentially be fighting and vice versa. And we just put so much time into our camps. Like I'm pretty invested in like what he needs to do for his fight, and he's invested for what I need to do. So then when it gets to the fight, and I'm in the corner, I'm used to being the dude that's in the cage, and I get to dictate my own fate. And when it's Kai Boy's turn, it's kind of just like, all right, let's hope it works, and what we've been working on. And so I don't have control. So I'm just a little bit more nervous that way. But I like it. I like that I have a guy like Kai who's, just as hungry as me, and we have the same mindset towards the fight game. And again, the same division, that helps, because he's scouting and I'm constantly scouting. And so whenever one of us have an opponent, we're both well aware of them, and then you have a guy your same size that's willing to put in all the work, that it's hard sometimes to get guys that are on the same mind as you, and so yeah, that again, we got a season, so he helped me. We started off with a title shot, and then he had his first one, then he's gonna have his second one in June, and then he'll be making the playoffs, and I'll be hopefully fighting around September, so it'll be me again, and then it'll be him for the finals in November. So we'll have a busy year this year.
Dude, that sounds like a really awesome friendship, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
it's like you guys are like battle bros. Like really,
Exactly,
like
yeah.
you go, bro, then my turn, and I'll go get him, and okay, my turn. That's so
Yeah.
cool. That is so
Yeah,
healthy
it's a
and
unique,
awesome.
it's a different kind of dynamic, which is cool. And I think there's a few guys like that in the gym too. Chris Curtis and Sean Strickland was one for both 85ers and helping each other out a lot. So it's just good to have a guy that's just as hungry and my size, my weight, and yeah, very similar too. Like if it wasn't him in the tournament, it probably would have been me. So yeah, it's just pretty cool.
Two, not one, two special guests for you. Look around the scene. I don't know who's doing that for you. So can't go any further without representing the great company that backs us up. The AllStar Sports has a free, no ads, fully customizable app for you in all your Play stores. Make UFC picks, make your own leagues, join mine. Do whatever you want. It's fun, free, no ads, no pop-ups, and the best place to get exclusive MMA content, exclusive MMA interviews, fighters, stories, all our stuff. It's all up on there. Get it. All right. So first things first, we got to talk about the past to move on into the future. And this past fight, we didn't have a UFC, right, boys? There's a lull, there's a gap. They had to UFC 300. Then they had to, chill out. But we did not suffer. We did not suffer, combat fans. If anything, things got really better. We're gonna talk about the amuse bouche, the appetizer piece, the leading into our weekend, which started with karate combat. And Rockhold versus Schilling. Luke Rockhold versus Kurt Schilling. Guys, like these guys are known strikers, known names, and it's a good thing that it brings some attention to karate combat, because I think if you haven't watched karate combat, please do. It's very fun. It's a very striking orientated event, like you would think, but they do allow limited ground strikes. So if you get popped and you end up on the ground, it's not just okay, pow, you're gonna eat some more. I think 4 or 5 seconds is the rule. It's wonderful. But before I go on any further, I gotta get to these guys. What was your reaction to the fight, Sean? I'm gonna go to you first, of course.
Rockhold, he never ceases to amaze me. The guy goes to different organizations. He went to BKFC. He put on a show there, lost, but he still puts on a show. So it didn't surprise me that he was going to go to a different organization and put on a show again. Him going against Schilling, I didn't expect it to end the way it did, but in pure Rockhold fashion, you never not get content from him. He goes out there, knocks out Schilling, and then frolics around. My favorite type of Rockhold. He doesn't get old to me. I love the way he knocks him out and then just kind of does his thing, like rolls around. He's pure entertainment. There should be a camera on him at all times.
That's right. He is pure entertainment. Ricky, how did you take the fight?
Yeah, it seems like there usually is a camera on him at all times. I mean, for the fight itself, like Luke Rockhold needed it. Like he needed this one bad. I know it's karate combat. I know it's not something that has that big of a draw. They ain't selling no pay-per-views. Like it's on YouTube, which they need more credit, man. Like they actually put together an insane production for what they have. You're talking about getting all the juice, getting everything you can out of something. Like their production is really, really good, considering the fact that you get to watch them all for free. Like it's actually pretty dope. And the arena that they were in, or the space that they were in, like the surrounding of it, like just the aesthetics, it was amazing. But Luke Rockhold, he needed it. I know it's not a UFC. I know he's not pay-per-view. I know this isn't a big fight. But man, we've seen him take a lot of L's recently. And to fight a 40-year-old Schilling, it was like, man, if you lose this one too, Luke, I don't know what to do with you, dog. I don't really know where you go from here. And for Schilling, man, it was tough because a lot of people were rooting for him. But I'll say this. Somewhere out there, there's a drunk dude in a bar that's very, very happy after what he saw what Luke Rockhold did. All right. He feels like he got some vengeance. Did he deserve to get knocked out himself? Yes, but he was going crazy when he saw Luke Rockhold put that check hook on him. And yeah, man, that's all I really have for that. And shout out my boy Craig Jones. Them nose beers did it again. Another fabulous submission that he had on there. But yeah.
Hey, yeah, and shout out Karate Combat for expanding their horizons and adding grappling and just being in just a fun venue, like you said. Now to Kurt Schilling's former opponent in that bar that we all mentioned, wink, wink, we all know. I gotta say that brother had to have at least $100 on Luke. Like, think about it. Like, I would, if I got my ass kicked at Randall because I was a turd and that guy was fighting somebody else, I'm betting on that other guy for sure. So I hope he got that. Yeah, right? 100%.
He was telling his boys, he don't even hit that hard, bro.
Ooh, yeah. Hey, public service announcement, bruh. You not ready to take. I know Schilling lost. You are not ready to take one from Kurt, bruh. Don't do it. Do not do it. Now, on to that. We have our opinions, but we're going to share now our special guest thoughts.
I think that's cool. I mean, you get two guys with names built outside of, different avenues, different organizations, and it's pretty cool to see what Rockhold get another one. He's had a little bit of unluckiness, and then he retired, kind of. He left the UFC. Things kind of didn't. He had that bare knuckle, kind of lost his whole mouth, and so it would have been. It was cool to see that he got the victory. Yeah, that's all I really got on that one. It's just it's cool to see kind of guys Taylor, near the end of their career, still be able to do what they love against, it's not like he's fighting some young killer. Like, it was two guys that are in very similar positions, and but both had name power, and there's always a market for those kind of guys. So it's kind of cool to see that there is still fights for him, that he can still make money, and he can still have fun, and he can still get those W's.
Absolutely, man. I'm totally with that. And that's something I say quite often. Like, though, when you're later in your career, some people are like, quit already.
Yeah.
All those people shut up.
Yeah.
But if you have appropriate matchmaking, like you said, appropriate matchmaking in both those guys, like you said, noted strikers, now you don't got to worry about the other stuff. That's a good show. It was a good show.
And they got a name, it'll sell, and people are interested. And it's not like they're trying to build up a guy by giving him like some young prospect or anything like that. Like, I always think there's tons of room for those kind of fights.
Hell yeah, we like it. Now on the other side of combat, Haney versus Garcia. It was a big event. It happened already, but we got to talk about the satisfaction level, because that's what we do. We take polls on X, so follow our names and stuff, and we put out the polls, comment on them, but we read them back because it's important to know what the people are feeling from these events. Now, we did predictions earlier. We'll get to our thoughts later, but the fans, through polls and our really advanced math system, our scoring system, brought it to a public satisfaction rating of a very solid 8.1. 8.1. Very good job, guys. And I'm going to read a couple comments from the people. Bruh, man, anyone who didn't enjoy this fight was a Haney fan. I'm going to highlight was. Ugh. We're going to move on to the next one. Brianna Frost. Hey. First lady, and still. Above average. Garcia was brilliant in causing controversy to market the fight. Everyone thought he had serious mental health issues, including myself, but come to find out, he's a beast who did take this very seriously. He's laughing all the way to the bank, and us fans are sitting here in shock, scratching our heads. I'm 100% on the Garcia hype train. Me, you, and everybody else. There's only one person that was ahead of all of us. He bought first-class tickets. He was sitting in front of the train. When Garcia came back to the train, he was sitting there waiting for him. Ricky.
You know me, baby. I'll never be on the caboose of a hype train. I'm always first one on and last one off. And I saw this. Listen, when the very, very first time you started hearing Ryan Garcia, there was a Twitter Spaces he did with Andrew Tate where he's saying they held me down. They forced me to watch Little Kid. I was like, oh, shit. Okay, something's wrong with him. But then I started seeing more and more come out. And I started seeing his behavior didn't match what he was saying. Meaning he was talking crazy, but he was still training hard. He still looked to be sharp. He still looked to be in shape. So I'm like, those two things don't mix, man. He's trolling. Like, he is just trying to sell a fight. And at first, I thought that's all he was trying to do. He's just trying to get the pay-per-view numbers up because he's getting a percentage, he's getting a kick of it. So that's all he's trying to do. He's just trying to get the pay-per-view numbers up. I didn't know that his madness was layered. I didn't know that it goes further and further and further until you find out that the dude bet $500,000 for every pound he misses weight by. And you go, well, why would he do that? Why would he bet 500 grand per pound knowing that he ain't going to make weight? Knowing that there's no way he can make 140? Well, because the genius put a $2 million bet on himself to go against the odds that he inflated. He himself are the reason why the odds were so stacked against him. And he said, yup, go ahead, put 2 million down. I'll give you 1.5 of the 2 million that I'm betting because I'm getting that plus another 10 million back. The genius level of him drinking a fake beer. Yes, fake beer. Said that it's apple juice and sparkling water. He had everybody fooled. And now I just saw an interview with him on Patrick Bet-David's podcast saying, we're going to release all the footage. Months ago, we planned it all out. I said, this is what I'm going to do step for step. I'm going to make everyone think I'm crazy, and then I'm going to go and whoop his ass. Mind blown. Absolutely mind blown from him. And I can't think of any fighter who's been able to change the narrative like Ryan Garcia. Think about all the narratives of Ryan Garcia since we've heard of him. Since he was like 16, 17, it was, oh, the next Oscar De La Hoya, the next Golden Boy. He's this, he's that, he's the pretty boy, he's the buttoned up one, he's this. Then the narrative changes. Then the narrative changes again, and then it's Tank and all. His ability to consistently sell, it's mind-blowing, man. The kid is a freaking genius. Plain and simple.
Certified genius. Another certified genius, Sean.
Congratulations. You got it right. Congratulations. I was convinced the dude was crazy for weeks now. But congratulations. He played the game to the point where he had everybody fooled. If you're Sicko, might be in the handful of people who realized that Ryan was up to some like real shit, but there's the majority is with me. The majority, I stand by that. Everybody thought this dude was crazy. Even Devin Haney. I thought a guy like Devin Haney, an undisputed champion, nothing would rattle him. But crazy Ryan came in there and rattled him. Do I stand by everything Ryan did? The holding down, watching the Bohemian Grove videos? No, I don't stand by that. But listen, the dude won the fight. I'm sold on the Ryan train. But the thing is, I want Ryan to come out like that every single time. That's the Ryan that now I'm a fan of. The guy who was in the ring on Saturday night. The guy who comes at you, who's drenched in sweat because he's nervous, but he's going to come at you hard, bite down on his mouthpiece, growl at you. That's the dude who I'm excited to watch fight. I'm not really a guy who likes watching point fighters. I'm a guy who likes watching people get after it, go for the knockdown, go for the finish. Ryan was that guy on Saturday night. I don't think there's a guy who could stand in his way. Not a Fedora, not a Tank, no one. I think if that Ryan shows up against a lot of people, they're done for.
Done for. You know what's done for? The perfect record of Devin Haney. Done for. Forevers. Yeah, I did it. Sorry. Here's another thing. Yo, I was kind of kicking it with Sicko a little bit. Like, I was like, I know crazy. I've seen a lot of crazy. I've been almost crazy. I was like, dude, he is a little there's too much good stuff going on in here to be full-blown crazy. But then I also agree with Sean. Like, yo, when it comes to boxing, yo, Haney got this. He's gonna be professional. He's gonna box him. No. He did the one thing that I was afraid. The one thing we talked about. He's gonna go try scrap him.
One thing you can do if you're Ryan Garcia is get the guy off his game a little bit. He's a sweet boxer. He stays on the outside. He can pick you apart. He's gonna hit you, and he's so unhittable. He's untouchable in there. Well, what if I piss him off? What if I get him to the point where he wants to knock me out so bad that it becomes a slugfest? And if it's a slugfest, who knows? Now it's not about who's the best boxer. Now it's about who catches who cleanly. And now maybe Ryan has a chance.
You're a boxer, not a scrapper. And it didn't work out, huh? Easy. We all know that now. But man, also last note, believing in yourself. Like, if you don't really see that in the story, you're missing the best part of the story. Ryan Garcia believes in himself, and that's what it takes to do great things in life. And I just want everybody to know that, absorb that, and just get it inside, because that's what's up. Now,
bet on yourself. Literally, bet on yourself.
Unless you're Justin James, right? Is that too soon? Too soon? Sorry.
There was a point on Saturday night where I saw Devin. The point where I saw things change was when Devin walked out. I don't know if it was coming up through the ground when he came out, or if it was under one of the arena turnstiles. Wherever he came out from, there was a point where he looked up at the crowd, and I saw a different version of Devin Haney, not a guy who was confident. That's where things for me, I was like, oh, is Ryan going to go out here and really prove himself? And I think the lights hit Devin really bright when he came out on Saturday night.
And he cracked him early too. Like first round, cracked him. Felt the left hook. And shout out to Devin though. Devin gets credit because he caught that left hook in the first round, wobbled, but he kept fighting in the same style. Like he really wanted to get it back. He really wanted to finish Ryan too. So credit to Devin Haney because he usually doesn't fight like that. And for Ryan, is there any boxer that has more options than Ryan Garcia now? I mean, and even a Tank, which I was like, that fight will never happen again. Never happen again. Because Tank will never come up to 145. Ryan obviously will never sign another contract under 140 or less, which Tank fights at 135. But I'm like, dude, the built-in excuse he had for Tank was so irrelevant until now. Until now. Nobody cared about the rehydration clause and the fact that Ryan looked so bad in the fight against Tank. No one cared. No one cared when the fight was over. But now that's all anyone's talking about is, oh, fight him at this weight, fight him at 143, fight him at 144, and let's see what happens. I've never seen anything like it.
I was gonna say, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna tell you what happened. A bunch of people fucking bet the wrong way, and they're all sour ass motherfuckers, and they all trying to make up excuses and talk shit instead of congratulating and being happy that we all got treated to maybe the best magic show that has happened since Copperfield in his prime, since David Blaine in the street, since Houdini his motherfucking self. Like, be grateful for the entertainment you received, you shitty betters. Sorry, not sorry. Sean, go for it.
Do you know what's going to get Ricky really hyped?
Uh-oh.
What about the Sean O'Malley call outs? What about that? I mean, is there really a potential boxing match there? What do you guys think? I think that matchup, first of all, could be really interesting. I think Sean got really good hands. But a version like Ryan that's showing up on Saturday night, I don't think I want to see a prime UFC fighter take that fight.
I don't want to see Sean box against a world-class boxer. I really don't want to see him do it against a guy at 145 when Sean fights at 135.
And that's my answer right there too, because that's what we've been seeing. We're seeing MMA guys have to give up the weight and go uphill and be not in their skill set per se. And it just doesn't work. Like, it just doesn't. Like, I'm not a world champion at anything, but I'm a minor champion at some things, and those things is racing. And I bet I could beat all those guys at racing, and I could never win a single fight at all against anyone. I don't even care how many weight classes apart we are. So it's just the nature of sport. It's the nature of craft. It's the nature of things. Well, the nature of boxing, it's changing. We're moving on to the next one. Bare knuckle boxing. The redheaded stepchild, the love child of MMA and boxing, the old sport, the old ways. Some people call it the old ways, some people call it the new ways. I don't know. It's just something different and new and fresh and fun and awesome. I got to go into this just a little bit. Knuckle Mania 3, 4. I lost track. Who gives a shit? It's BKFC's best product. Is they literally kind of pull a page from the WWE world, where of course they put on good shows all the time, but they know that they need to one time a year give you a banger. And they've been doing it. Their Knuckle Mania product has literally been fucking hot sauce since their inception. And I like it. I like it a lot. Now, you guys all know Mike Perry, the king of bare knuckle boxing. He's made it awesome. But the stack of just the top, I'm just going to talk about the top. So you got Mike Perry, king of that, facing Thiago Alves. Then you have Lorenzo Hunt. Lorenzo Hunt, if you have not been paying attention to BKFC, everybody talks about Mike Perry, he's born for this, he's made for this, he is that. You know who's the other guy? It's Lorenzo Hunt. Now, Lorenzo Hunt doesn't have the UFC fame, but that brother is built. I mean, built for bare knuckle fighting. He was a 2-division champ. How the hell do you even do that? Like, it's just, he's the guy. And then in the featured bout, we get to run something back. It was scheduled moons ago. Things happen. Big Ben Rothwell against Todd Duffy. Todd Duffy, bells ringing. You know who that was? The guy who used to hold the UFC fastest knockout record until Masvidal snatched it from him. But you're talking about credible, legitimate heavyweight, big men that have to fight other big men or else it's a mismatch. That right there, I don't even need to get the rest of it. You know it's going to be bang. It's like, dude, I got to stop talking. That shit is just awesome. Let's get to these guys for their reactions. Ricky, Knucklemania.
Keep going, Doc. Keep going. Keep hyping up Knucklemania. It deserves the hype. It's what everyone wants to see, man. We're at the end of the day, we're no better than we were back in the gladiator days. We want to see war. We want to see blood. We want to see tough it out. And Mike Perry, I mean, brother, you talk about the perfect person for bare knuckle, the perfect person where it's not always style, it's not always technique. Sometimes you can win in this organization, in that league, you can win off of pure toughness. I can take what you can't, and nobody's been able to match Mike Perry yet. You saw what happened with Luke Rockhold. Mike Perry looked at him and said, I'm going to headbutt your fist and you're going to quit. He headbutt his fist, split him open, and then he quit. That's what you have, but he's going against a guy in Thiago Alves where maybe you find a guy who can match the toughness. It seems like that's all we're doing now for Mike Perry. You can find guys that can match him in terms of technique, in terms of skill, hand speed, punch power, head movement, footwork. You can have all that. But if you can't match Mike Perry in toughness, you're not beating him in bare knuckle. That's just a sport we live in. And as far as Big Ben Rothwell and Todd Duffy, bro, I was blown away when I saw that fight. I was like, hold on. This is underneath it. This is the co-main. This is another fight that they have on this. And I don't know if you guys have seen Todd Duffy, but that man is on, looks like, I don't want to say he is, all right? Looks like I never knocked on nobody, Fast and Furious.
I never knocked on nobody.
He looks like
Amen.
He is on all the juice right now. So I'm like, yo, there might be a 50-pound, 60-pound difference between the two men, but there's not an ounce of fat on Todd Duffy right now. I don't know what that man walked into GNC and said, let me get everything twice. He looks insane. Sean, what you got, baby?
I mean, toughness isn't the highest quality you want to have in a fighter. Usually that means they're getting their ass kicked a lot. But, I mean, Mike Perry, like you said, Ricky, he says he headbutts Knuckles, and he really headbutts Knuckles. I don't know what he has in his head. I don't know if it's steel up there or whatever it is, but he's really headbutting Knuckles. He's moving your knuckles around, and you're walking out of there probably in casts on your hands for a couple of days because there's something up with this guy. I don't know if his face is made of Play-Doh. You can move his nose to the left side of his face, the right side of his face. He will still come at you. He will breathe out of his mouth wide open, still coming at you. His jaw can get rocked around. He'll still come at you. I don't know what it is with this guy, but man, he's the perfect fighter for BKFC. They hit the lottery when they found a Mike Perry. I can't believe still that Darren Till turned down the offer, but at the same time, I can believe it because why would you want to fight Mike Perry in his home backyard, in his playground? This is his territory. And like you said, Ricky, Ben Rothwell, underneath of that, come on. Whoa, whatever that dude does, I'm a fan of it. I think I've watched every single Ben Rothwell fight since he did that corny, crazy shit, and I've been a fan since then. There's something about a dude who's that big, who steps in the octagon or the squared circle, whatever you call it, wherever he's fighting, he's going to put the hands on you, and I love his boxing style, so he's perfect for BKFC as well.
And once again, shout out to Big Ben Rothwell. Had the chance of meeting him, talking with him at a bare knuckle press conference once. Fucking awesome dude. The guy is gigantic for reals. And once again, like to flex, been watching a long time. I was watching Big Ben when he was actually much slimmer, not as Big Ben. Back in the IFL, kids, look it up. Use your Google and whatever, your Google Glass, and just, where's IFL? Go find it, go watch it, enjoy the past. You'll appreciate the future much better. Go, Sean. What you want to say?
Tell me he had hair. Did he have hair back then?
I'm not going to tell you. Go Google it.
It's worth the look up. It's worth the look up.
Put on your Apple Glass. Go walk out into traffic while enjoying some vintage IFL You see where I'm going
Oh,
here?
shit.
Geez.
Don't do that around Ryan
did I
Garcia, dog.
did I hurt a bunch of did I hurt a bunch of people's feelings? Good. Now, okay. So our experts, our fighters, our guests, they got some thoughts on these fights too.
Fucking Mike Perry. Who would have thought that Mike Perry, that was like his calling, was to be a bare knuckle boxer? I think you could look at his personality and be like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Holy shit. I think it's the coolest thing ever. He's out there, like, again, like, using his brand. I'm sure he's getting paid a shit ton from those guys too. And I think bare knuckle MMA is awesome, or bare knuckle boxing. I think the bare knuckle MMA is kind of like, you just go to the ground so you don't break your hand, and then the submissions are easier because you don't got the glove. So I like the bare knuckle boxing. I like the toe the line stuff where you start right in the center. Is it for me? No, I don't think so. I don't think my girl would let me. I think at the end of it, she's gonna be like, Garrett, you gotta fucking stop or go do karate combat. Don't do the bare knuckle. But the thing is like you might have more lacerations, but you're not. There's gonna be way less. You're not gonna hit as hard due to no gloves, so there's less chance of concussions, which is very important.
Right. That's has been a topic of discussion with that, and I'm really glad that you brought that up. Because I guarantee you have way more experience hitting and being hit than I do. So that's a great fair point. Now, small point within the point, we got to pick a side: Mike Perry or Pitbull Thiago Alves.
Oh, Mike Perry for sure. Kidding me? Didn't that motherfucker make Luke Bryan? Haha.
Rockhold.
Luke Rockhold quit. It's funny.
Yes.
I actually know Luke Rockhold because he trained at Killcliff, and I always call him Luka Dookie, and he never picks up on it because like you don't really know who I am. Like I would just always say him and be like, "What's up, Luka Dookie?" And he'd be like, "What the fuck?" But yeah, like it's just Mike Perry, man. He's just crazy. He don't give a fuck. He loves it. He fucking loves it, So I'm going Mike Perry. Like Thiago Alves, you're a dog, but Mike Perry fucking bites.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of it just for what it is. I think it's cool. It's fun to watch. I don't really think it gets put into the same caliber as like other combat sports like boxing. Yeah, it's just because it's not boxing with no gloves on. It's like it's a different animal, man. Like it and Perry is just like built for it. That's why you see him beating guys that like, MVP. Like that's not his kind of game. And but that doesn't mean that Perry's a better striker. That's what I'm trying to get at is like it's more of a dog fight and who's tougher, and who can is a whole different game. And so I like it. I like it for what it is though. Like I don't like putting that as like, oh, this guy's the best striker because he's a bare knuckle champion or anything. He's a bare knuckle champion because he's the best at bare knuckle. But Perry's fun to watch, man. And Alves, that's the one thing that worries me. Like he's such a clean striker and Muay Thai fighter, and now to throw him into a bare knuckle fight, he is a savage like that. But again, I don't like his odds against Perry personally. But that's one again. That's the excitement factor into this because now they have a guy with a name who can strike, and now they're throwing him in against their golden boy now. Like Perry's kind of taken over bare knuckle on his back, so. I'm excited for that one. I'm going Perry, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
All right, so we're gonna go to the next one. It's always on to the next one, right? That's the policy in the fight game. And the next one is let's talk business. We have to talk business a little bit. And it's not always pleasant. Money, discussions, not always pleasant. The fight game, unforgiving. Time, also unforgiving. Bad combination for fighters at the end of their career. Who are we talking about? What are we talking about? Gegard Mousasi, an icon of the sport. He's been fighting for us for so long, from Pride, I don't even know, Strikeforce, everybody. Like he's fought for I think he's literally fought for everybody. I don't want to leave out a certain league. Man's been entertaining us forever. So if you didn't know, he was the Bellator champion for a good bit, had a very solid run, many solid defenses. But recent times, he's fallen on 2 losses in a row, which then corresponds with business. PFL buys Bellator. There is a merger. Obviously, we are living in the year of the merger, folks. We are literally living it right now as things move, as gears progress and things change. And Well, in that process, things happen. And I'm really glad that we got a very special guest who's lived, experienced, and has gone through all those processes, being a Bellator fighter, getting absorbed into PFL, and he has some insights on that issue.
Yeah, man, it was like, it's hard. I think everyone's situation is a little different. Like for me, I was in line for a title shot, and the merger happened, so there was a lot of waiting and a lot of silence. I guess just you didn't hear anything, so you didn't know. And but I think a lot of like the higher ups, they didn't know. Like they didn't really know how this whole thing was going to shake down. I think it is for the better. The product's better, and I think most importantly, the competition is better. Like these fights are, especially now that a lot of these guys are in the Bellator. The Bellator guys are in the season that, like these PFL tournaments are tough. Like you got a lot of good guys. Like there's favorites and a couple of favorites in each division, where most of the years you kind of knew who was gonna go all the way through. Or this one, it's like, man, I can't wait for these guys to fight, and there's still like three other guys that could win it. But for like the Bellator side, I think everyone's just in different positions. Like, like Cyborg, I see she's been going on about trying to get a fight, and she's healthy. And that's the worst part of being a fighter, is when you're healthy and you want to fight and there's nothing, and then it just happens to turn up that you end up getting a fight and you end up getting hurt or whatever. There's a lot of stuff that can happen. But again, it's just the position, Cyborg, what their plan is with her. Maybe there should just be a little bit more communication, but like, I think everybody knows that it's Pacheco and you can't just throw that fight on anything. Maybe I know they have the pay-per-view events, but I think Don Davis even kind of hinted that he's waiting for the big card that Francis is coming back on. And that's the one that he wants to put that women's fight on, because it's a big fight. But then, fighters are human too, like we got to know, we want to be an open book. Like, let's tell us. So maybe they just need to come to an understanding of when that actually looks like how serious is Francis. If that's not happening, then let's get that fight going. But that probably the biggest thing is just, they're waiting, and Francis he could have no plans on fighting this year in MMA. So, and if they do and they have proof of that, maybe let her know. So, this is the plan and this is what's happening. As far as Gegard goes, again, that's a hard one, because from what it sounds like is that conflict was that he's getting paid too much or something like that. Like they didn't really want to fulfill what Bellator was paying him. And then maybe that's just an eye opener for him. Like if you can't get this money somewhere else, maybe you do got to, give a little bit to get that back. He's coming off of a loss, I believe.
Yeah, 2 in a row, unfortunately.
He lost his title and then he dropped another one. So maybe he is in that higher bracket, and maybe he has to show himself. So maybe he has to give a little bit, maybe I'll take a bit of a pay cut, just keep me active, get me going, get in there, win another fight. And now you got the ball in your court again. But, anytime you're coming off of back-to-back losses, and then there's finances involved, you don't really have the power in your hand. And especially with the merger where he didn't even negotiate this rate with his current employer, like that's something they inherited. And if they don't want to fulfill that, maybe they got to let him go or something. But I don't like the idea of a guy getting kind of froze out, but there's got to be, I can see both sides on that one. Unfortunately, most fighters want to side with the guy that wants the money, but I see it from a business. They inherit this whole organization, and hey, like there's a lot of money going out. And maybe we don't feel this guy's as valued, so maybe you got to do a whole new side deal with him. Re-sign him as a Bellator guy with what you want to offer him, and if he doesn't like that money, he can go elsewhere, just like any of us can. So I think there's just some. When you go public, things move faster. So maybe I hope to see him get booked soon.
There we go. We're hoping the best for everybody. We want the best for everybody. And like you said, you got to be fair, right? There is business element to this. And I was thinking from the fan side, my dude, like you said, Gegard is not anybody. Gegard has a name, and Mr. Don Davis and everybody at the PFL, they can't just, you don't just put Gegard anywhere.
No.
And he's worth a lot of money, but like you said, he's not the champion. So it's like, well, there's champions who need to be attended to, Cyborg and such, and there's just moving parts, like you said. So it's not even have to be like personal or nothing.
He is just, hey, he's ready to fight. Let's throw him on this random card and pay him a lot of money to do it. I think there's a lot more that has to be worked out, especially if he wants to get paid what he's expecting to get paid. He might have to wait a little bit, so I don't know. But again, I'm just speaking off of the minute clip I saw on Ariel, and the little bit of an article I read that there could be way more to it.
Now, on my side, I just want to say this. The game is unforgiving, like I said, and you gotta be a little bit more patient, especially during a merger. And I know it sucks. Patience for fighters, especially when you're older, it's not a thing. You don't have time. You don't have time to just be squandering. But I do think that the PFL is doing their very best, and you can see it in all the cards. They're doing their very best to give you good fights, good cards. And Gegard Mousasi is just not anybody. So they need to find the right place for an icon to shine. That's my 2 cents. Let's get to the guy. Sean, what's your thoughts?
Coming from one organization to the next, especially with a merger, things are obviously going to be structured differently, especially with the PFL, who does it different than a lot of different organizations. I think we don't know what's going on with management or with his contract, but whatever is going on, I think, like you said, Rob, the best thing to do is to be patient. You can't really rush these situations. You can't really do anything. But one thing I can say is I've noticed a lot more fighters taking on management themselves, negotiating contracts themselves instead of going through management. And maybe that's a smart thing to do. I can't say if Gegard's doing that right now or if he's going through management, but when you have so many different moving parts and then you add an extra moving part of one organization joining another or a merger, that's a whole extra added layer to it. So I think the less moving parts is better, and I think you might be able to see more fighters going towards that way.
Ricky, let's get in it.
Yeah, man, it's tough. Listen, the fight game is fickle, whether it's the fans, whether it's the organizations. If he wins his last couple fights, you know what I mean? Is this still an issue? Is he still having this issue? Does he find something else? Are opportunities coming to him a lot quicker? We don't know. But, it's going to be tough, especially with that merger. Like you said, Rob, that merger, I think, is what's really affecting everything. I don't know if he's the only fighter that's going through this, but he might just be the most high-profile fighter that's going through this, if that makes sense. There was a point in time for Mousasi where every time he would win, the first thing would be compare him to the UFC champion. Oh, him and Izzy, he'll beat Izzy. Oh, he'll beat this person. He'll beat that person. And like I said, man, they love you and they want more and they can't get enough. And then as soon as things don't go your way, they're ready to kick you to the curb. It's hard to get a hold of them. They can't. It's the very unfortunate part. And as much as we love PFL and as much as we love what they do with their seasons and how they get those things going, this might be the downside of it. For us fans, we weren't really seeing too much of a downside. There was a couple things here and there, but we weren't really seeing too much of a downside like this. This could be the one big downside to them when you really got to wait for those moments and wait to go through the seasons. We may have some fighters that we really want to see be more active, kind of be held out by the organization itself.
And that's a really good take. And I'll just sprinkle on a little bit of thoughts. Many of you guys, if you're following along, Chris Cyborg, maybe the most famous of them all and holding of the belt. She's been the super vocal, give me a fight, give me a fight, give me a fight. But we all know who she's fighting. She's going to fight the women's champ on the other side, Miss Pacheco, Larissa Pacheco, who's a hammer herself. Now, we all want to see that fight. If you're not interested in that fight, then you're just not interested in fighting. Banger alert, instantly. We know that's happening, but once again, like Ricky and Sean said, but Ricky is exactly like he said, what are you going to do? You got PFL cards of regular season. What are you supposed to do? Sprinkle Pacheco and Cyborg on top of it and make the whole season look stupid? Or what? Because that fight's big. And that's just the way it is. Mergers take time. Let the PFL have this year. Their product is already better. The Bellator variant is already better. I say just everybody breathe and let 2024 play out. We will see Cyborg this year. We will see Gegard this year. This I am very sure of. Now, things I'm sure of, but others are not. We have to talk about this. Big news today came out. UFC holding an event in the UK, in London, right? Question mark? Whatever. I've never been there. Sorry, not disrespecting the land. I think it's London. We're just going to go with that. Anyway, Manchester. Sorry. But so it's in Manchester. Whatevers. USA. Now the point is, they're kind of shagging their fans, and I'm going to use as many UK terms as I know, which is not many. They're shagging their fans real bad because, dude, think about if it was our way. Their fight time, they rarely get events to cater to their time. They rarely get times that fit them. How do we know this? Because our spaces. Join them on X. We do it every single UFC fight. And one of my co-hosts for years, one of our best dudes, the Phantom Dennis Den. He's, my wingman column. Dude, that guy doesn't sleep every weekend. He has to go all the way through the night watching UFCs with us, literally all the way through the night, every single fucking weekend. I'll swear for him. And the few times the UK cards or whatever international cards line up with our international friends, because we got plenty of international guests and members in our community, like, I'm happy for them. Sure. Am I watching fights for breakfast? I don't give a shit. I'm a degen. Like, that doesn't matter to me at all. But for them, it's like, hey, guys, literally 9 times out of 10, if not more, it's for us. Glad to be here to participate with you. The UFC goes and putting the venue live in their city, in their time, and goes, we're moving the show time to America. And what does that tell you, folks? What does that tell you? The empire's over. USA number 1. Also, just to let you know, the USA has officially annexed the UK. We now have states 51 through 54. Welcome to the union, wankers. Now, I just got to get to the guys on this. Sean, always spitting hot fire. What the fuck's going on here, dude?
America. When you're in our flat, you live by our flat's rules. We run on our time at all times. And I think it'll stay that way. Enjoy your beans at 3 a.m. Whatever you have on your toast, enjoy it. I don't care. I think anybody who goes to that card should have an American passport. I think it should just be an American card in a different country, Resorts World style. Oh, we're going to England? Like cruise ship style. You're there, but you're just hanging out with the people from your cruise ship. That's how we're going to do it. I'm a fan of that way. I almost think we should open up our phone lines and get a Euro fan in here to hear what they talk about.
See, if I'm being honest, I don't know what the fuck Dana White's thinking. He's going to sit there, put on a card for a potential heavyweight fight for Tom Aspinall, who's going to sit there and defend an imaginary belt that might as well not fucking exist because of fucking John Jones sitting there, oh, I want Stipe, oh, I don't want Tom. So that's your American goat for you, being a big scared shithouse cunt. That's fucking great. Not only that, I could potentially see at 4:20 in the morning, Leon Edwards getting wrestle fucked for 24 fucking minutes, coming back with a head kick win. I could see that. But no, so UFC 304 is going to be me sitting, trying not to fall asleep at 3 in the fucking morning, even though I could drive to the fucking arena where it's being held, which doesn't make fucking sense to me with these stupid cunts. But I'm not the UFC chairman, but no, we need to make sure you Americans are happy. Get the fuck.
But yeah, I'm a fan of it. I'm watching it at my normal time. Sorry, Charlie, you guys got to watch it early in the morning. Enjoy it.
Yeah, that's the way it goes, man. Listen, I want to know what percentage of revenue for the UFC comes from America. All right, if it's anything higher, if it's anything 90% or more, you're lucky that you get the fights that you even get. You're lucky that it's even there. You're lucky that you even buy a ticket. Man, when we're paying for all the pay-per-views, when we're putting everything, every single spaces, I got to hear our boys from across the pond talk about, you have to pay for this. You have to pay for that. Oh, look at me on my Sky Sport. Well, guess what, buddy? Turn that shit on at 4 a.m. and join us again like you always do. Now, I will say, me personally, I love the noon starts, man. I really do. I'm getting old, bro. I guess that's all I can say is I'm getting old because those noon starts are beautiful for me. Unless it's like football season. But outside of football season, bro, start them shits at noon. That's the only thing I would actually prefer it. But as far as me feeling bad for them, no, sir, absolutely not. Feel bad for my pockets first, and then I'll feel bad for you.
Exactly right. And that's the reality of the matter. This is what we're getting to when big money, everybody's like, "Oh, great, UFC is a multi-billion-dollar company." I was like, "Not always a good thing." And they're like, "Oh, great, it's a publicly traded company. I can buy stocks in it." This is what you get. So deal with it. I'm not gonna support Ricky all the way. I'm gonna support Sean all the way. USA all fucking day. The reality is we do pay for it. We pay for it out the face, out the ass, up the nose, whatever expression you want. We pay for it and pay for it and pay for it and pay for it. You know what another thing we paid for? World War II. And if we didn't save your asses, then you'd be watching UFC in Nazi Germany. And I don't know if they would allow it. Probably not. So keep being welcome. USA, red, white, and blue, all in your face. But all jokes aside, UK fans, I'm genuinely sorry. All jokes aside now. UK fans, Euro fans, everybody on that half of the earth where that time zone would be fair to you, what you deserve. I'm sorry, because 10 a.m. is just fine for me. All that. Sean, what you thinking, man?
Honestly, I think you guys, you UK fans, it's your own fault. You've proved to Dana numerous times that you'll stay awake till 4 a.m., 5 a.m. He sees the numbers, guys. He reads the analytics. He does it after every pay-per-view card. So he's seeing over there that you guys are wild, staying up till 4 a.m., doing your ketamine, whatever you guys do over there. You do it. You stay up till 4 a.m. And he's like, okay, this is what time they like watching UFC cards. So you know what he did? Smack the UFC card at the time you guys watch it. So if you really want to protest, go to fucking sleep, get a night of sleep, and then you'll get your card at the time you want it.
There you go.
I do feel bad for Den, bro. I feel bad for our boy Den because you know he was gonna fire up that barbecue and cook up something sweet. Now he's gonna be eating cold ass leftovers from it at 3 a.m. Yeah, fire up that air fryer, Den. Sorry, pal. I do feel sorry for you, man. You deserve it.
I'm not, because Den's cooking is fire, so I'm sure the leftovers are even better. You know what doesn't have leftovers because it's still coming up? UFC Vegas 91. We don't do full card breakdowns. Go listen to the 10,000 other boring ass podcasts to do that shit. We're gonna just talk about the good ones. We got some pros to do it, so maybe their opinions are better than your doofus friends. Probably better than ours, but we're gonna give them anyways.
You know, Alex Perez, man. He is. He actually owns. He's part of Iridium Sports Agency as well, and so I actually every time he always comes with for the team dinners, and he just always hangs out. So actually, I like him a lot, and I think I got a lot to learn from him because he actually opened up his own acai bowl business, or smoothie business, whatever. He's got I think 1 or 2 locations, but he was telling me that he does everything from his phone, and he only visits the store 1 day a month, and he just does everything from his phone, which is fucking badass. I'm sure he's there more than 1 day a month, but so I just like him. So I'm going him, but I mean it's a tough ass fight because that Mathis Nicolau guy he's fucking good.
Yes, sir.
He's really good. I watched his fight against Matt Schnell in a bar once, and I was like, holy shit, that dude was good.
Yeah, dude, and I'm with you. With his Nicolau, definitely both those guys really good. And thank you for sharing that other information. It's good to see guys taking their discipline and applying it to other disciplines, even if it's business, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
That's pretty cool. Now, with that and the guys at the top near your weight, I just want to ask a question. And I know I asked it before, but I want the rest of the world to know. Do you focus, like, obviously you got to pay attention to everybody in your weight class, but do you also pay attention to the guys nearest your weight because, hey, life's a journey and you might face them, or is it only your weight class?
I mean, I watch it, but I have no plans to. I mean, I'm not the biggest bantamweight. I'm not. But at the same time, I think I'm like right at that level where like 125 would be way too much of a cut. I don't ever plan on going to 25. I like 35. I think I perform very well there, and the weight cut doesn't hurt me or dehydrate me too much. I mean, it does dehydrate me, but it's not like making 25. You watched Dillashaw and Cody Garbrandt make 25, and they were both put away quick, which sucks because I'm a big fan of both, other than Dillashaw because he's a snake in the grass. But
right,
little cheater.
You cheated. Deal with it.
I do watch it, but I don't look at a guy at 35 or 45 and be like, oh, I'm gonna fight that dude one day, I guess. Whatever. I mean, the biggest surprise to me was Jose Johnson I was supposed to fight him, and he failed his eye exam, so he couldn't fight. Sucks, whatever. It's out of his control. He fucking fighting at 25 his next fight. I'm like, bro, you are 6'2". How the hell do you make? I stood next to him. How the hell do you make 125? Mind blowing.
Magic. Yeah, it's weird how like some people like and all you guys look in shape, all you guys in shape, but it's like some people like you said like struggle and they're like okay that makes sense, and then other guys are much taller, even wider, and they make the weight. It's the human body is confusing sometimes, but kind of like what you maybe you mentioned like the I know it's a totally different experience, but they said the salt intake, the traveling, the this, the that, like little tiny X factors happen along the way.
Perez Nicolau, 2 guys coming off losses. This is, I guess this is a way to ease us fans back into it after a week off. We came off that high from UFC 300. We got to ease back into it. I think it would have been crazy to add another card where you get a banger, you expect something big, and then it doesn't lead up to it. I guess this is a good way to ease it back. This is a card that's a step up from a Dana White's Contender Series. This is a card that stepped up from a little bit lower tier Apex cards. I think it's a card where maybe we can get an answer at the flyweight division if we have a stud there. Maybe one of these guys can turn their careers around, make something happen. If I was one of these guys, look for a finish. Let's see a flyweight come out on top. But hopefully it ends out being better than expected. I'm going to predict this card, to be honest with you, a 6.1. I don't think it's anywhere higher than that, 6.1. Hopefully it exceeds my expectations.
Finger right on the pulse.
Well, fuck me. I was trying to be nice. I gave it a 7.1 on this one. I mean, I don't really hate on the 6.1, though. I understand. I get it. 7.1. There's some fights that I'm interested in, to be honest. There's some fights that I'm looking forward to. And for the main event, I mean, flyweights, one of y'all need to do something, man. This division needs a shot of adrenaline to the heart in it. Like, we need a finish. It cannot be a 5-round split decision. You guys cannot miss weight. This fight cannot be canceled for any reason because the flyweight division right now is down bad. That flyweight division right now needs new contenders. Look at who is fighting for the belt. You guys have more fights than he does. You guys have more wins in the UFC than he does. Look at what's happening in your division. Go out there and try to kill each other. Like, we need something crazy in the flyweight division to spark that interest, to get everyone back into it. And I'm interested that a flyweight fight is the main, event for a fight night. I know it's a fight night. I know it's not a pay-per-view, but let's be honest, the smaller weight classes usually don't get the rub. They usually don't get the shine. So to see a flyweight still be on there, like, you guys have a really big opportunity to make something happen. And it's coming off of a week where we didn't have any UFC events going on, which I actually appreciated. The NBA playoffs started. We had the fights that we talked about earlier. Like, it was actually a nice weekend off from the UFC, but I'm ready to get back into it. I'm sure you are too, Rob.
Oh, dude, so happy. And like you said, it was good to have a lull, but I'm glad it's back. But not just my opinion. I'll share my expectation level in just a second. I'm going to go to the fans. The fans rated it very close to Sean at a 6.3. Fairly low. There's a lot of people that are just like, we'll see what happens. Now, the general consensus around people is that the reaction that I'm getting when I talk to people is like, I don't know who's on the card. Yeah. Guess what? There's some professionals who don't know who's on the card. Okay, like, for real, it's okay. I'm a hardcore. These guys are hardcore. Most of you guys watching are all hardcores. It's okay. There's a lot of debuting people. But what I will say on this is how you get to know people. Sure, you don't know them, but this is how you get to. And you think all those fighters don't know that they're not unknown? You don't think they all know, hey, I would like to be the viral clip this week. I want to be the hot name that people are going to talk about, because that's what happens. And it's really awesome. Now, let me get a couple comments from the people. Special head, 0. Not a lot of guys that I recall on the card, so 0 expectations. Hopefully, I learned some new names this weekend. I did not plan that. I just randomly picked this. That's crazy. Brother. Thank you, special head. Just a name. That's a name. What do you want to do?
I feel it. I don't know where he was going with that name. I don't know if we don't know if he or she. Call me special head. We got some things to talk about.
We're gonna go Ty. I'm not overly thrilled with the card, but it could also be due to not knowing most of the fighters. I'm also not excited for the main event, but maybe it ends up being a good card. Well, there you go.
That's the thing, right? How many times do we look at a card and everyone goes, "Man, that's a shit card," and then it's just banger after banger after banger. Like,
here's the thing. Here's the thing, too, guys. I mean, this is the type of card where the real fans show up. You have the casual show up for 300, all pour out, but you'll have everybody flood away. This is the card where the real fans show up, and this is the card. Every one of your fighters' favorite fighters had to start somewhere, and this is the type of card where you usually have one of those guys start. You don't expect it. He's somewhere sitting in the middle of the card, maybe prelims. You don't know, but there's a guy out there tomorrow or Saturday night who's going to make an impact and probably going to make a remembrance on you, yourself, and hopefully me as well.
And that's exactly how you get early access to the hype train where Ricky sits at, by knowing these guys right out the chute, right? Like, you can wait for the crowd to tell you who's good, or you can be like, bro, I've been day one on that guy. I've seen him be this and this and this, or girl, and whatever's, that's the way it goes. My expectation, come on, Rob. My expectation levels for this event is slightly less than Ricky's, a little bit more than Sean's. I'm going with the 6.8. 6.8 for me personally on this one. And come on, new people, let's get it going. I want to see that. Now, very important part of everything we do, some thank yous. All right. Thank you to everybody. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your wisdom. But more importantly, special thanks to all the members on X who support our content, who support our show, and support our watch parties, our Spaces watch parties. If you're not familiar, get familiar. All right. Welcoming to everybody. Everybody can talk. It's a good place to enjoy fight fans, gain knowledge, and enjoy the fights together. There's a lot of fighters we don't know. So if you don't know and you don't know where to go, join us on X via the Spaces format. I also want a special thanks to the fighters, right? Mr. Armfield, Garrett Armfield, Mr. Kennedy, Jeremy Kennedy, brothers, thank you so much for your time, your knowledge, and everything like that. And I'm going to go around to the gentlemen so they can share their thoughts and what they're thankful for or want to shout out.
No, I appreciate it, man. I want to thank the fight community in general. Just, the sponsors, the team, like aspect of everything, but just how big the sport's got in the last, couple of years. Just the avenues of guys. Like, I was a guy who started in UFC and I went the other way, and I've been able to make a living off of it, and I still am, and fighting at the highest level, still doing what I love. And that's just because the sport of MMA is big enough that it can facilitate this many guys, which is awesome. And just that exactly how big a number 2 essentially promotion has been able to got, where it's you see some of these Europe shows and these crowds are wild for Bellator, for PFL. I just think that it's not long that the PFL is number 2, but they're closing that gap, in the sense of market, like eyes on the sport in general, and with that will come money, and the sport will just get elevated more. But we definitely need bigger landscape, and that's what I think this is a huge step in the right direction. So I got a little off topic. I'm just saying in general. I'm just happy to be involved in MMA, and a big shout out to all the fans, because that's what drives the sport in general.
And definitely, you know what? Let's go a little bit further on that one.
Yeah,
right. Just
and
a little
even
bit
MMA,
further.
Twitter, like all of it, bro. It's like everything builds the sport, bro. So
definitely, man. I need to expand this a little further because old guy alert, just recently turned 39. Been watching the fight game since day one. I'm one of the last dying breeds of day one fans under 40, bro. There's nobody else besides me. So with that being said, I've watched a lot of stuff change, but one thing I noticed as a fan is every time there's a number 2, I like doing that. Like you did it. Every time there is, but the number 2 is strong. The number 2 is vibrant. It has support by the fans. Would you agree that the UFC gets better because they plateau when they're the only ones, right?
Exactly. Everything elevates, man. And you notice they're even talking about PFL a lot more now too, is because they're threatened a little bit, like they're signing big guys. Paul Hughes just got signed. Like, those are guys that are supposed to be going over to the UFC when the time is, but guys are like, you know what, I want to go these other avenues, because it's not like it's end all be all at the UFC, So I think the bigger signs that the PFL could get is awesome too. And it's not a competition, bro. There's enough MMA to go around. I just want to see everybody elevate, you know. So that's PFL fighters, Bellator fighters, UFC fighters, everybody involved. I just want us getting, you know, compensated properly, and that's just going to take time.
I'm with you on that. A rising tide lifts all ships.
That's
So
the
let's go,
Yeah.
everybody. Mr. Kennedy, thank you so much for your time, sir. I can't wait to talk to you again. Hopefully, get a message from you soon confirming that fight date in the near future.
Yeah, soon, man.
All right, my brother. Well, take
All
care,
right,
okay?
All right, my man. Have a good one.
First off, thank you guys. Thank you, Rob, for so much having me on. Guys, please, I'm trying to grow my social media following. I'm active as hell on Twitter. I'm trying to post memes and shit. I think I'm doing not a bad job at doing it. So you guys, please follow my journey on Twitter or X at Armfield135, and then Instagram at Garrett Armfield135. I'm active there as much as I can be, without turning into just constant shit posting, which I kind of do a lot on Twitter, but I have fun with it.
That's what it's
so
for.
guys, dude, I love it because that's like the one way that I can connect with fans and show them my personality. It's hard on Instagram, like showing pictures and shit, but I get to just post my fucking thoughts. So it's great. I love it. You know? June 15th, Brady Hines stand. You don't want to miss this fight. It's going to be fireworks. I'm training my ass off for it. We're 8 weeks out. Marathon MMA in Overland Park, Kansas. We are on a 7-fight win streak in the UFC, and I'm going to make it 8.
That's right, my brother. Well, it's always a pleasure to spend some time with you, talking with you, getting your insights. I always have a blast. I also love your merch. For those of you who watched episode 2, I was wearing Garrett's shirt. If you didn't, go back and watch episode 2. You can get his merch too. So get it. We did a giveaway for it. If you didn't, well, that's a problem because you weren't following me on X and you weren't following Garrett on X because we both talked about it. We made a big deal about it. So
you missed out, man. You missed out.
We missed out this time, but we'll do one again in the future. We will.
Yeah,
and Mr. Armfield, once again, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me, Rob. I appreciate you.
Take care, sir. All right.
Yeah.
Ricky, batter up.
Thankful to the things that you just said, man. Thank you to the fighters that have joined us. Thank you to the viewers, especially, man. When you guys have anybody that saw episode 1, episode 2, and is now watching episode 3, I know I speak for Sean and Rob when I say that. It means the world to us, man. And we're going to keep trying to get better. We're going to keep trying to put out the best that we can give you week after week. That's what we're going to try to do. And thank you to Rob. Thank you to Sean, my counterparts. Rob, all the work you do. Sean, all the work you do to make this show happen, man. I genuinely enjoy kicking it with y'all every single Friday.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And just to reiterate on that, I mean, Ricky and Rob, they play a huge part in this. Both of them do huge things for this show, working in different aspects. And without us working as a team, none of this would be possible. And you guys viewing the show, I mean, just hearing the reviews and love and support that we've been getting, just a small growth from the first 2 weeks. Hopefully we keep being able to entertain you guys and keep being able to bring you guys new content, phone calls, maybe boots on the ground interviews. Who knows? We got a bunch of cool things lined up, and this is only the beginning. A lot of cool things to come. So back to Rob.
And with that, I say the same thing I say in the spaces I say now, right? Without you guys, without your support, I'm just a guy talking to myself. So in this case, it'd just be the 3 of us liking our own stuff. That sucks.
For sure.
You know what we do like? We like your comments. We like your feedback. So please comment this video. Let us know things you want to talk about, things you would like to see, maybe things we could pull off. Maybe we can't, maybe we can. And whatever's. And once again, you see our polls, comment in there. We love you people. So it's been a good time. We'll see you next time. All right.